Hello everyone! Seeing as this is considered a romantic month, I figured this would be a good time to do a review of Sunrise. Sunrise, A Song of Two Humans was released in 1927, directed by F.W. Murnau, and it has become one of the most highly regarded films of the silent era. Janet Gaynor plays the wife of a farmer, George O'Brien, who has been seduced by a woman from the city, Margaret Livingston. Wanting the man all to herself, the city woman urges him to drown his wife so he'll be free to return to the city with her. Confused by his lust, he sets about putting this plan in motion. Those of you who haven't seen this are thinking, this is a romantic movie? Yes, it is, albeit a bittersweet one, as it warns you at the beginning. Sunrise is a movie that drastically changes course midstream. The first half hour is dark and troubling, akin to a film noir in both mood and narrative, as the femme fatale uses her wiles to goad the man into murder. Yet from a pivotal moment onward, unbelievable as it may sound, it is about the reconciliation of the man and his wife and the rekindling of their romance. I saw Sunrise once before, years ago, and I feel like at that time I heard it mentioned much more frequently than I do now, but maybe that's just because I'm not active in classic film social media circles anymore. Not that I was ever active to begin with, I was a lurker on a couple of fan pages. I have never been active in any communities. That ain't me, kid. I'm going to focus on character, plot, and themes, though one could easily spend an entire video praising and analyzing the technical achievements. F.W. Murnau, also famous for directing 1922's Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror, incorporated elements of German expressionism in the stylized visuals and sets. There are marvelous tracking shots, like the one that follows the man through the misty night on his way to meet the city woman, and there are innovative compositions. This was the first film to have synchronized music and sound, and I love the subtle humor of playing Funeral March of a Marionette after they break the statue, and the mournful French horn note mimicking the man calling for his wife across the water. There are elements so impressive that they blow you away in the moment, and others so smoothly done that you don't even notice them or realize how complicated they must have been to pull off. With good reason, Sunrise is considered not just one of the best films of the 1920s, but one of the best films ever made. It's not just famous because it's a technical and artistic marvel, however. The simple story has had an enduring effect on its audience due to its universality and timelessness. There are only 3 principal characters. They are never named. They are known only as the man, the wife, and the woman of the city. We meet the woman of the city first, and there is no subtlety in her characterization. She is shown in her slip and robe smoking a cigarette as she fixes her bobbed hair and rummages through her closet, getting ready to meet her lover. She is a flapper, she's a vamp, she is an unashamed seductress, and before she leaves, she makes an old woman shine her shoes. And that tells us that she's also just not a very nice person. We next meet the man, sitting around brooding until he hears the city woman's signal. Though it's obvious his wife is just about to put dinner on the table, he sneaks out of the house. What a jerk. This made me angrier this time than the first time I watched it. To his credit, when the city woman first makes her wicked suggestion, he's outraged and attacks her, but she quells him with a passionate kiss. It becomes clear, especially with repeat viewings, that this affair has basically turned him into a zombie. He mopes around, and he's even starting to lose the farm. This also makes me angry, but it's also clear that he wasn't like this until quite recently. It's as if the city woman has infected him, and I think that's a pretty good depiction of how temptation and addiction can completely warp your mind, making you do things that you know deep down are wrong, things that you don't really want to do, and consequently, you drive yourself mad trying to silence the voice of your conscience. George O'Brien's tortured expression gives us a solid representation of what that madness and misery looks like. Janet Gaynor as the wife gives perhaps the most subtle performance. She won the first Best Actress Oscar, a cumulative award for all her work that year, and her performance here is as touching and effective now as it was in 1927. She has a naturally sweet face with large, expressive eyes, and no title cards are necessary to explain her emotions. My one quibble, and it's just a silly little aesthetic thing, is that I find her hat distracting. It looks like she's wearing a basket on her head. But it's intentional. Like the city woman, her clothes, hair, makeup, etc. are representative. Her provincial modesty is meant to be a stark contrast to the city woman's modernity and unbridled sexuality. The wife is thrilled when he asks her to go boating with him, but it doesn't take long for her to realize something's amiss. Maybe it's their dog coming after them and her husband going all the way back just to get rid of the dog. Maybe it's his surly behavior. Maybe it's the fact that he can't bear to look her in the eye. And then when he does, what she sees in his face terrifies her. The moment arrives, he stands and he starts coming toward her, and she is pleading for her life when a bell on the dock suddenly clangs and he comes to his senses, and he is mortified. But the damage is done. As soon as they reach the shore, she jumps out of the boat and runs away. He chases after her. They end up on a trolley headed to the city, and he's begging her not to be afraid of him, but she just cowers away. As soon as they reach the city, she tries to get away from him, but she runs straight into traffic, and he saves her from being flattened. Then he takes her to a cafe, offers a plate of, I assume, sweetbreads. She sadly nibbles on one. They leave, and very gently he offers her some flowers. And I'll admit, there's a cynical part of me that's saying, hey buddy, you can't fix this with flowers, so why don't you take your bread and your bouquet and shove them up your nostril, because unless you apologize, all these little gestures aren't gonna mean diddly squat. She doesn't say anything like that, though. She doesn't say anything, period. And at that moment, they hear bells again and see a bride entering a church. They go inside, and as they witness the wedding, the man is reminded of the vows they had made to each other, vows to love, honor, and protect. And he breaks down. And instead of lashing out or giving him the cold shoulder, the saintly wife comforts him, pulls him aside, and embraces him. All is forgiven and forgotten, and they leave the church so devoted and absorbed in each other that they cause a massive traffic jam. This is a much better outcome than what would have happened if she'd said what I wanted to say, and I do hate that this time around I couldn't help thinking, that's it? Just like that? No hesitation? No skepticism? No suspicion that he's just saying what she wants to hear right now? The internet did this to me. I wasn't like this before. The wife's response goes against so much of the relationship advice you hear these days. She doesn't turn her back on him. She doesn't make him keep groveling. She doesn't demand that he earn her trust again. No, she's so overjoyed to have him back that she doesn't want to dwell on what brought them here. She just wants to focus on being together from that point forward. Would I be able to respond this way? I don't know. But it sure is a moving and inspiring moment. I really like the reminder here that marriage vows are not meant to be taken lightly by either party. These promises to love, to cherish, and to honor aren't meant for the good times only, and fidelity isn't supposed to be provisional. The scene is also a beautiful picture of Christian redemption. The man admits his sin and asks for forgiveness, and forgiveness is freely bestowed. Though it is undeserved, the forgiveness is instantaneous, it is complete, and it is eternal. The first half of the film is sublime, and then we change course again, and for the next 25 minutes or so, things turn surprisingly whimsical. They visit a salon where the man proves himself by rejecting a flirty manicurist and punishes Mr. McFeely over here for being a creep with his wife. They go to get their picture taken, and the moment when they crack each other up is very charming. They goof around like a couple of kids, visit an amusement park, the wife persuades him to perform a peasant dance with her, and throughout all of this they are besotted with each other, their pure love shining in their eyes, and they're super cute and playful. I do find some of these scenes pretty silly, especially the ones with the pig running away and getting drunk. I really don't know what that had to do with anything, but there is something fanciful about all of it that's in keeping with the fairy tale atmosphere, and I don't mind that so much time is spent on this very long date, showing them enjoying themselves and rekindling their romance. And then once more the film's mood changes, as on their boat ride home they get caught in a storm and tragedy strikes. And if you were hoping that the man would suffer a little more for his transgressions, your wish is granted. Twice in one day he is convinced he's lost his wife. He's doubly punished for his inconstancy and conspiracy, and he returns home to their baby a stricken man. Fortunately, with a satisfying touch of irony, which I won't spoil, I don't want to spoil the whole movie, all is well. The couple is reunited, even more appreciative of each other than before. I do wish the man would mellow out some. He still seems inclined to be broody and to overreact. He almost murders the woman from the city. But I get the feeling that after this scare, he is going to treasure his wife, and they'll have a happy little home for the rest of their days. It is an unconventional love story, but that's the beauty of it. Editing Weaselberry popping in here before I close to say this was an unexpected pleasure to edit. I often grow fonder of whatever I'm reviewing by the end of the editing process, and while I already held Sunrise in high regard, looking so closely at some of these scenes over the last few days has given me a warm, fuzzy feeling that I didn't anticipate. And I have to say, while I keep finding new aspects of the production to marvel at, the bulk of the credit belongs to George O'Brien and Janet Gaynor for making me care so deeply about these characters that I rejoice with them in their newfound happiness. Every time I look at these images, I can't help smiling. Such are my thoughts on Sunrise, A Song of Two Humans. I hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know what you think of this classic film if you've seen it in the comments below, and I'll be back next Saturday with another review. Thanks for watching.